Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Ian Scarfe. I'm the director of the Trinity Alps Chamber Music Festival. I'm so excited to be doing another one of these concerts on Zoom, live streamed from my house here in San Francisco. As I mentioned earlier, it is raining and pouring outside like it's been doing for the last 2 weeks. And we just heard some thunder and lightning, which is very exciting. We don't often get that. Tonight's program is going to feature 4 of my wonderful colleagues, but they're gonna handle the last part of the program, a wonderful string quartet by Franz Schubert. That's kind of the main course of the menu tonight, if you will. Before that, I'm going to provide a few little appetizers, including a couple pieces on the piano here. This first one is very appropriate for all of us on the West Coast who've been hammered with rain these last couple weeks. This is a work by Frederic Chopin. This is one of his preludes. Chopin wrote a book of preludes. Each one of them is just a few minutes long. They're little character pieces. They're really wonderful. This particular prelude has picked up a nickname over the years. It's often called the Raindrop Prelude. Now, of course, it's kind of appropriate to all the weather we're having, but it's also an interesting part of Chopin's life. You see, this was right at the time when he was starting to suffer from the effects of tuberculosis. He began getting very ill, and he had some interesting advice from his doctor at home. His doctor told him something along the lines of, "Monsieur Chopin, the problem with your lungs is the foul air you're breathing here in Paris. It's crowded, it's cold, it's damp. What you must do is go south to the Mediterranean, let the warm sea breezes, let them soothe your lungs." So Chopin took his doctor's advice and went to the island of Majorca in the Mediterranean. As the story goes there, it rained for the next 3 months, so the poor guy just couldn't catch a break. So while cooped up in his room, he did quite a bit of composing, and one piece to come out of it was this prelude. Now, like most romantic music, when you listen to this, your ear is first drawn to the melody. Chopin gives us just a great, nice romantic melody. And underneath the melody in my left hand is a very simple part. And the way my thumb hovers on that A flat right there, that creates the whole atmosphere of the piece, that gentle, calming repetition. Somewhere along the line, someone compared it to raindrops on the rooftop. Now it gets more interesting because on the second page of music, Chopin introduces a new theme in the bass. It's in the minor key, it's dark and low and ominous, and it's completely different from the theme we started with. But what's not different, what doesn't change at all, is that repeated raindrop. And it's an incredible moment because, you know, that little raindrop in the background, its meaning kind of changes. It's no longer a calming, sort of meditative part of the music. Instead, that repetition becomes a little more threatening, a little more ominous, and that kind of spawns this entire storm that breaks out in the middle section of this prelude. And I think that's just a great example of the genius of someone like Chopin. He's taking us on such an emotional ride from one extreme to the other, and it really all just hinges around a single note and the way that repetition works on our minds. It's a wonderful piece. I promise you there is a moment near the end where he resolves things and that melody from the beginning comes. It's like the clouds part and the sun comes through and everything is glistening and smells good. So anyway, it's a wonderful piece. I hope you like it. This is Chopin's Raindrop Prelude. Getting a storm here, huh? Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a little funny to play that very calm, beautiful ending while the storm and the wind is blowing outside.
Should it be auto-admitting people into the room?
I just did.
Oh, Julie couldn't get in.
Yeah, Julie's in now. Thank you, Stephen. All right, that was a little bit of music by Frederic Chopin. Thank you again. And next I'm going to play a piece for you by one of my favorite composers, someone who I've already introduced, my friend Ludwig van Beethoven here, who's currently wearing his noise-canceling headphones. Maybe he's not a fan of Chopin, I don't know. This next piece is one of Beethoven's early piano sonatas. This is another piece that's picked up a nickname. In fact, this one got its nickname immediately when Beethoven sold it to his publisher. His publisher decided to call it the Pastoral Sonata. And the title Pastoral, you know, when music was written in a pastoral way, it's meant to signify music that is direct and simple and a little bit folksy, sort of perhaps evoking images of the countryside or of nature. And this was actually very appropriate for Beethoven at this time in his life. You see, Beethoven wrote this when he was about 30 years old. He had just moved to Vienna a few years before, and he was really right in the moment of sort of finding his stride as a great musician and as a performer and as a composer. And so he was really on top of things. This was before things changed for him. You know, I think most of us, we think of an older Beethoven, you know, the very dignified, great genius, you know, the one who was deaf and had temper problems and, you know, this great sort of force of personality. But this piece really is a great example of Beethoven's sort of easygoing attitude that he could adopt, and to a certain extent his youthful character as well. I'm just going to play the first movement of this wonderful sonata, and one reason I was drawn to it on this program is because it has some of the same musical ways of working as the Chopin Raindrop Prelude we just heard. Specifically, Beethoven makes extensive use of repetition as well, and drones in the music. This time, it's the job of my left pinky to hold down this repetition on a low D. And for pages and pages of music, I have to keep that drone going. And it reminds me a little bit like in the back of the orchestra, the timpani player just very quietly playing. Or, you know, if you take the pastoral imagery, perhaps it's someone in a folk band, you know, in the next village. You can hear it sort of across the countryside. When that repetition stops, a few moments when he just sort of breaks the music along, breaks from those long lines, that is a little bit alarming. So listen for those moments. And, you know, listen for also the moments when Beethoven does his usual thing, which is to get a little obsessive about repeating things over and over again. And next thing you know, you've got that fist shaking, that sort of power that Beethoven can summon. This is a wonderful piece. This is Opus 28. Beethoven wrote it when he was 30 years old. This is his Pastoral Sonata in D major. I hope you like it. Thank you very much. Thank you. That was music of Beethoven, of course. All right. We're going to reset a couple things here as my colleagues are going to join me for this next piece. How was that? Did that come across okay? Sometimes it's funny playing for your computer, you know? In the room it sounded okay, I hope. I have a few people in the waiting room that I'm letting in right now so they can enjoy the next part of the concert. All right, we're going to do another piece from the, this one's another piece from the 19th century. This one from the later years of the 1800s. This is by the Czech composer Antonin Dvorak. Dvorak, you know, he was part of the sort of peak of the late Romantic era. You know, think of the music of Chopin with all that passion and intensity, but just even more extreme and over the top. That was the vibe for those late decades of the 1800s. The piece we're going to play is like the two pieces I played for the piano. This piece also has a nickname. This is often called the Dumky trio. The Dumky refers to a dumka being singular and dumky plural. A dumka is a type of Eastern European folk music, actually. This originates from Ukraine, and a dumka is a musical kind of elegy, a musical remembrance, if you will. And, you know, like an elegy or a remembrance of someone who's passed, this is meant to do a couple of different things. It's meant to sort of acknowledge loss and acknowledge grief, but it's also about celebrating, you know, who somebody was. It's about talking about their, you know, their character and their playfulness and the fun times and the hilarious times, you know, and the mischievous times. And one of the great things about Dvorak's music is he's able to capture all of those different moods within the overall structure of a remembrance, or of a dumka in this case. We're going to play two movements from this trio. There's 6 of these in the trio, and each one of them is 5 or 8 minutes long. So we're just going to do 2 of them tonight. As you listen to this, I think you'll probably hear what I said. Both of these pieces start with a lot of gravitas and rather slow and rather sad, or by some coincidence, maybe the cello gets the main melody for those sad parts. So sad cello times. Here, that reminds me, I'm going to switch my camera. Switch my camera to the phone, which is up there. So yes, now you can see the whole ensemble. One of the things that's, you don't have to do anything, it should be good. One of the amazing things that I guess it's Apple has done is they've let their phones and computers talk to each other, so you can switch cameras effortlessly now. I wish it had been like that throughout all of 2020 and 2021 when we were doing all these concerts and looking for cameras and so on. Anyway, joining me for this piece on violin is my friend and colleague Ellen McGehee. Ellen is a co-founder of this festival, and she's also our host when we go to the Trinity Alps to do our Trinity Alps festivals. We'll have a retreat at her beautiful farm in Palm Valley, and where all the musicians will eat local food and sometimes participate in harvesting the local food. And then we'll play concerts in that part of the world in Trinity County. We actually did that this last couple of weeks. It was rainy up there too. You'll be surprised to hear. It's been rainy everywhere. Anyway, Ellen on violin. Joining me on cello is my friend James Jaffe. James has been part of many Trinity Alps programs, also many of our Zoom concerts here in San Francisco. The three of us have really had a lot of fun putting together these two trios movements by Dvorak. One of the things, as you listen to these, I think you'll be able to tell that, you know, there's very little regular flow to this music. You know, in the Raindrop Prelude, even in Beethoven, you had a lot of consistency in the rhythm. But in this Dvorak, everything is always in a state of changing. It's slowing down, it's speeding up. One person has something to say, another person has something to say. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful to have a little bit of a different style of music. We hope you enjoy two movements from Dvorak's Dumky Trio. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone here. Oh, that one deserves a little bit of a breath after it. Actually, we're going to take just a quick break while we reset our stage here. We have a few people joining us in the waiting room. This is great. You're not too late. You're going to hear some of the Schubert that we're about to play. The string quartet is busy getting themselves ready here. Meanwhile, I'll tell you a little bit about what we've been doing this past week. Just after New Year's, the five of us got together to do this installment of the Trinity Alps Chamber Music Festival. And this is something that we started doing, goodness, it was 2011, so we're going on 12, 13 years now. And, this festival sort of originated in this beautiful part of Northern California, the Trinity Alps. And we've enjoyed going there, partly because it's a nice way to sort of really focus on a program of music together. So we spend all this time rehearsing when, the farm where we stay is quite remote. We don't have cell phone service there, and to get internet you have to sort of hike up the hill to a barn, so it's really kind of off the grid, far away from our emails and our phones and our traffic and gigs and all that. And it's just such a wonderful way to do music, because there we are, really in this beautiful place, such a beautiful, healthy place, rehearsing music every day and really having a chance to dive into it. This past time we had quite a interesting travel experience, driving those roads of rural Northern California with all of this record amounts of rain pouring down. It's just been kind of exceptional, the amount of rain. But there were a few moments where it cleared up a little bit. There was even a wonderful morning when we went outside and there was a rainbow, a very powerful rainbow. And I actually have some photos here that I can show to you on the Zoom. Here, let me do this. I can share my screen, and here is a nice photo of this rainbow. Share screen. Yeah, let's do that. That is in Hyam Palm Valley. That was a double rainbow, so you can see me admiring it, looking over my shoulder. That was, what was that, Thursday morning? Friday morning? It was the one time it stopped raining, I'll tell you that. So, gosh, we just had such a magical trip. And then at the end of it, we played 3 concerts around Northern California. We played in the little town of Hyam Palm. We played in Weaverville, which is the county seat of Trinity County. And we also played in Eureka on the coast near the Redwoods. We stayed at a beautiful host house. They hosted us, and they were right across the street from the Redwoods Park in Arcata. So we had a wonderful time hiking around in the Redwoods. It was just beautiful. And we had a wonderful time playing all these concerts. So I think my colleagues are just about put together for the last part of the program. This last piece is a work by Franz Schubert. This is a string quartet, and my friend Stephen is going to tell you a little bit more about it. Stephen, I'm not sure if the microphone will get all the way over there, so I might ask you to stand in the middle, maybe? Here. Keep doing this. Hold on. Technical challenges here. Well, just give us just a moment. Might have made it worse. I'm playing with microphone cables here, folks. Excuse me. This is one of the joys of having a home studio. It's wonderful. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my friend Stephen Fine has come all the way from Gainesville, Florida, if you can. Yeah, he's come all the way from Gainesville, Florida to be a part of this, and it is just a pleasure to have him here. He's going to be joining us on viola. James Jaffe on cello, you heard. Ellen McGehee on violin, you also heard. And joining us on first violin is my friend James Keene, who's come all the way from the New York area, from New Jersey. And let's transfer it to the room camera, and there we all are. So, welcome to the group. Now, as promised, to introduce this next piece, I'm going to turn it over to my friend Stephen Fine. Here you go, Stephen.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Hello. This quartet by Schubert has a nickname, like the rest of the program had nicknames. This one is called the Rosamunde Quartet. It's because the The second movement is a transcription of music he wrote for a play earlier called Rosamunde. This play does not get performed anymore, but this piece is a mainstay of the quartet repertoire. It's not the only piece that he quotes in the quartet. He also, in the third movement, the minuet, quotes himself again. He had set a poem by Schiller called The Greek Gods, sort of about the disappearance of a glorious youth and like where has the past gone. And that's kind of a theme for Schubert throughout his oeuvre, is just sadness and longing, and this piece is no exception to that. It is in 4 movements. The first movement is in allegro. The second is that slow movement. Then we have a dance and trio, and then followed by a march. I'd say it's a very traditional string quartet in that you have sort of the role of melody in the first violin and counter melody in the second violin, and then viola and cello are holding up the rhythm and bass section. It's a little bit unusual, though, how important the counter melody is in the second violin. The counter melody in the second violin is sort of providing a lot of the emotional energy for the music, which is, again, sort of a mainstay of Schubert. Schubert, we are playing this quartet, but I think he's most known for writing lots and lots of songs. He was one of the greatest songwriters of the 1800s, lots of music for voice and piano. And in that music, you have the same sort of general trend of the melody being really just beautiful. You know, he had a great ear for melody, but just like in a work of like rock and roll, where when you're listening to it and you're sort of wondering to yourself, why is this so good? It's not usually the melody. It's something like the bass line. With Schubert, it's the same. It's, if you're wondering, oh, why is this so good? It's because the counter melody, the energy that in this piece the second violin is providing is so compelling. I've described it in our other concerts as needling. It's just constant needling at the melody, trying to get it to say something more provocative, maybe. But James, meanwhile, is just floating very elegantly above, singing his song. James and I over here are, like I said, doing sort of a rhythm and bass section. We do get to take up moments of counter melody and melody at times, but this is a bit of a throwback, I would say, in terms of style. This is very classical in how it's put together. I don't have too much more to say. Yeah, that first movement is just beautiful. It's a real showstopper, has just a real catchy melody right from the start. The second movement is in a major key. It's sort of the only happy sounding movement of the group, and it's surrounded by this intense first movement, and then a very intense third movement. The minuet is a very sad dance. A sad dance. The trio is another moment of perhaps happiness. James had a coach that described it as, he said it summoned an image of like Christmas morning or perhaps Christmas Eve dinner, the whole family together in a room, you know, around the fire, the mother and father and children and maybe a dog or cats, as in this house. And they're, you know, it's very warm and inviting and sweet, but you are outside in the cold looking in through a window. So you can sort of decide for yourself if you think this is actually happy music or if this is happy music viewed from a distance. The fourth movement, after that happy moment in the trio, the minuet comes back, the sad dance. And then the last movement, the fourth movement, sounds chipper again, but maybe it's chipper from a distance. Maybe you're looking, you know, you're up in a tower watching a parade or something. That's all I have to say, except this piece is between 30 and 40 minutes. It's a hefty piece of music. We hope you enjoy it. We've really loved putting it together. It was such a pleasure taking this on the road and finishing here in San Francisco this weekend. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Thanks to our live audience for showing up. We're going to play it for you now. Here we go. Ian's going to wrap it up. I'm going to give him the mic now. Here he is.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, everyone. Oh, my goodness. Thanks, James, Ellen, James, Stephen. That was wonderful. Thank you all. Thank you. All right. This is Ian again. I'm going to find my camera back. While they've been playing, I've been sitting in the stairwell. It's kind of nice. If I get up a few stairs, it feels like I'm in the balcony at the opera or something like that, in one of my boxes. Thank you all so much for tuning in. At our high point, we had 60 participants on the Zoom. Let's say half of you had somebody else tuning in. That's 90 people or more. That is just great. That's one of our best concerts we've done this week. Thank you all for being here. I see some people have actually many more than two people listening. So thank you again. Just a quick reminder, this is part of a series that we do, not only our live concerts, but these Zoom concerts as well. They're such a pleasure to offer to the community, and it's so nice that we have people tuning in from all over, really. I hope that you will take an opportunity and make a contribution to support this series of concerts we do, and to support these musicians who are here tonight. It is very easy to make a contribution. You can make a contribution of any amount on our website. You just go to trinityalpscmf.org, same place where you probably reserved your seat for this concert. I'm going to put it into the chat here. trinityalpscmf.org. There it is. Does anyone have any comments or any ideas you'd like to share? As long as we're in the same Zoom room, anyone want to express something, their response to all that music we just did? I turn it over to you. Or anyone in the room here?
It was fabulous.
Oh, thank you so much. What was your favorite part? Tell me.
No, the thing I really like, Ian, that you do is give so much history and talk about the music you're going to be playing, because I really hear it in a different way, even if I've known them. So it's really helpful.
Well, thank you.
Anyway, each one I heard differently.
It's our pleasure. Stephen and we've been doing that for many years. It's really, I think, you're only getting a piece of the pie. Just think, we've been practicing these same pieces every day for 2 weeks now. Just imagine how many different things we've thought of. We could have gone on and on and on tonight. I see Christopher is suggesting that the pairing of Beethoven and Schubert tonight was a good one. We talked about that actually. Oh, he says Stephen can say my last name. He saw
Macholsky.
Macholsky.
He was my first viola. He inspired me to play the viola.
Oh, Chris.
Oh.
Stephen is over there in the corner saying that Chris Macholsky is the one who inspired him to play the viola. Thank you, sir. You've done us all a favor. We were talking about the comparison between the Beethoven Sonata and the Schubert Quartet. In a lot of ways, I think that Schubert Quartet we just heard is very Beethoven-y. He gets a little, he shakes his fist a bit. He gets a little repetitive with the way he develops ideas. That's a very Beethoven kind of thing. And similarly, I would say that Piano Sonata, which is so open and genial and has these long passages, that's very Schubert-style sonata. So it's an interesting example of those two composers. So thank you for bringing that up. Let's see, does anyone else want to chime in before we sign off to our Saturday nights?
Thank you.
We have an audience of about 10 people here. It's really nice. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight, taking part of your Saturday, part of your weekend. Thank you also to our incredible musicians who joined me, to Ellen and Stephen, to James and James. If you don't mind, take a moment now and just unmute yourselves and applaud for everyone. That way we'll all feel
Thank you so much.
Bravo.
That's always wonderful.
Really wonderful.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to send out an email with all of the program typed up. You know, normally if you come to one of our concerts, we hand you a printed program. Instead, you're going to get one in the email tomorrow morning. So until next time, everyone, stay well. See you again. Bye-bye.